Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Nur Akidah Najihah binti Muhammad Rafi from group number 4. The goal of this assessment is to improve our understanding of Islamic legal principle. We have been given the task of expanding on our chosen legal maxim, which is the Al-Darurah Yuzal, which means an injury must be removed. Next, definition of Qawaid Fiqhiyyah. Qawaid Fiqhiyyah, or the method of fiqh, are the principle of kulli of a general nature that practice the problem of fiqh in the detail or division into the several group. It is a principle that simplifies in the inference the problem, that is by grouping all the same problem under one method. The mujtahid play their role using the intellect based on knowledge from the legal sources according with the appropriate Sharia concept to be implemented regardless of time and place. Qawaid Fiqhiyyah divided into 5 basic. 1. Everything is based on intention. The meaning of this rule is that all word and deed all depends on the intention. Whether those word and deed will be reward or not, all it will return to the intention first. 2. Confidence is not hydrated by doubt, meaning from the point of the view of language, from some of the meaning that have been put forward, and they all agree that confidence is the opposite of doubt. 3. Difficulty is accompanied by the convenience. Allah has sent down religion to the human. Allah also lowered the burden of the Sharia to human beings so that human beings can worship with Him. 5. Adat is made a judge. The methods mean an adat that is practiced in a society, whether it is a general or specific form, that is a source of legal reference where there is no explanation of the relevant law by Sharia. Next, definition Al-Darurah Yuzal. As a Muslim, we cannot do anything that causes harm to ourselves or to others. So, regardless of whether the harm to related to the public or special right, the kind of situation should be avoided. The harm in this maxim refer to something that make it difficult to meet the basic human need of religion, life, lineage, mind, and property. The maxim simply states that anything that poses a risk of harm or injury should be avoided in this case. This maxim is based on hadith of Nabi Muhammad SAW, narrated by Bukhari and Muslim, which say Islam is that which should not be dangerous and harmful. In general, all types of darah or harm are prohibited, except for harm that is permitted by Sharia, harm that affects many people and is difficult to avoid, and harm that is the person who has been harmed has forgiven. Harm should not be warded off by a similitude. A description, on the other hand, cannot be eliminated by the harm. As the result, the trait must be removed. However, it is not in a way that poses the same or similar risk, not to mention if they were born in a more dangerous environment. As a result, harm cannot completely eliminated by harm. This is because if it is required, it is indirect contradiction to Al-Darurah Yuzal method, which states that all harm must be avoided. As a result, the fractional method restricts the basic method. Application of legal maxim in furu law. No one who is hungry steal or take the food of other who will starve to death if the food is taken or stolen. Doctors are unable to take someone's blood and do not eat to a patient in need of blood. That is, if his body is taken, he will die or will be killed. Harm should be warded off as much as possible. Description, harm must be avoided to the greatest extent possible. This method implies that there is an obligation to avoid the occurrence of something harmful. To that end, all possible or capable effort must be made to limit or prevent the occurrence of such harm. The method is based on the Usuliyah method, which addresses the scope of responsibility for avoiding harm and danger. If the harm can be reduced or eliminated entirely, that would be ideal. If you don't, at least do it at a reasonable cost, because mukallaf are subject to Islamic taqlid based on their ability. In other contexts, the method is described in terms of the Masalih al-Mursalah concept. Application of legal maxim in furu law. Sayyidina Abu Bakar effort to collect and book the Al-Quran in order to prevent it from being lost. Sayyidina Umar took action to burn the liquor store so that no greater problem and harm will arise. Several harms should be removed by a lesser harm. Description: when two harmful or dangerous events occur at the same time. As the result, the solution is implementation to focus on reducing heavier harm while focusing on reducing lighter harm. In other situations, if there are two harmful or a conflict between two harm, it is important to determine which is the greater danger. This is the greater danger, the harm caused by implementing the less dangerous and should be avoided. There are several other fraction methods that have almost the same meaning and purpose and can be grouped or placed under one group, which is spare the lighter damage to push the largest between the two. When there is a conflict between two harm, heavier one should be avoided and lighter one implemented. Next, application in legal maxim in furu law. Forcing someone in debt to settle their debts. Cutting or felling the tree belongs to someone else when it's leaning over his house.
So I'm going to talk about harm is not justified by being old. This legal maxim can also call as Al-Darurah Yuzal. Okay, this legal maxim is actually the fractional method is formed to limit the method. In other words, or easy word, as before, the current one is not left, or according to what is there, the origin means. This method means that the advantages and applications which are appreciated are those which are not harmed by the law of Islam. If injury occurs, it is necessary to erase the harm or not to linger on the basic that it has existed or remained for a long time. As for now, this related legal maxim can be related with the legal maxim, the old shall be deemed old. Indeed, Islamic law does not differentiate in the slightest between old or new dangers or harm. In fact, everything must be prevented. As long as it is a harm, it must be eliminated. This legal maxim can be application in the furu law. The first one is to reduce society danger, which is the government has the right to prohibit farmers from cultivating crops that contains part of cannabis and opium that can be used as a material for drug misuse, because of if the farmer use this plant these things, they will create a harm to the others, because drug is addicted and it give harms to the human. Next, the second one is doctors with epilepsy are allowed to avoid the treatment of patients. Because what? Because the doctor with epilepsy can give harm to the patient. The next one is necessity renders prohibited things permissible. This legal maxim can call Al-Darurah Tubihu al-Mahzurat. Theoretically, this legal maxim is where the necessities permit prohibition. In other words, or in easy word, what is religiously illegal or banned is justified by necessity. There also an English proverb and illustrate this concept, which is necessity knows no laws, or necessity has no limit. This legal maxim is actually based on the Quranic in Surah Al-Baqarah 173 verses. Prohibited matter is to be permitted during a time of necessity. It is permissible because committing it does not constitute a sin. For an example, such as eating dead flesh or pig or drinking alcohol when you are thirsty, when you have a severe necessity. If you doesn't eat that, you can die. So this type of situation can make the prohibited things permissible. The next one is necessity shall be estimated by the extent thereof. This legal maxim can be also called Al-Darurah Tuqadaru biqadariha. This maxim actually stated that where necessity allows for prohibited action, the rule should be viewed as exceptional norms that are limited to the duration and severity of the requirement. As a result, any permission deemed essential should not be absolute, but only the extent necessary to alleviate the burden. It should be noted that this concept applies to all types of concessions, whether they are made from need or not. However, it highlights the time limit. Okay, this legal maxim highlights the time limit for which the exceptional rule applies, namely if there is a need. and it must end as soon as the need is no longer there. This legal maxim can be applied in the furuk law. For an example, if someone opens a window in his house wall overlooking a location whenever ladies congregate, he is required to repair the damage to his neighbor in such a way that their vision is obstructed, but he does not have to wall up the entire window. The last legal maxim in Al-Darurah Yuzal is loss entails gain, which can be called as Al-Hurmu bil-Ghunmi. This maxim actually can be interpreted as damage and benefits that come together. For an example, he or she who derive benefit from a thing must also bear any damage from it. Suggests that gain entails liability, implying that the individual who takes the benefit of one thing, of something, must also bear the risk of loss of that thing. This maxim also can be applied in legalization of profit making. In an easy way, in a company, this legal maxim indicates that if a law allows one party to engage in certain activities, the former cannot be held accountable for compensating the other if it suffers a loss due to the former's action. For example, the loss and gain in proportion to their interest in the company capital will be shared by the partners based on what they agree on the contract.
First is in business. In the business world, damage to goods sometimes happen. Therefore, the buyers can return the goods to the seller if the goods are damaged. For example, when a person buys a car and then he realizes that the car has significant damage, then he has the right to cancel the purchase contract, because in the law under Sharia it is thought that the buyers enter into a contract provided the object of the sale is not damaged. In addition, if there are sellers who do business selling perishable goods such as vegetables and fruits, and buyers who want to buy the goods displayed before payment of the price and receipt of goods sold, then in this case, the seller is allowed to cancel the contract of sale and sell the vegetable or fruit to another person if he fears the goods will be damaged, thus avoiding the seller business incurring loss. Furthermore, in business, also the act of monopolizing public necessities such as sugar, rice and all are prohibited in Islam. Traders usually do it so that the essential goods are reduced in the market, and the community has no choice but to buy the goods so they can sell the goods at a high price so that they get a multiplied profit.
Okay, the next part is financial. Islamic financial theory is an old assumption, even though Islamic financial now is a modern perspective. Okay, Islamic financial refer to financial marketing transaction, operating and service. The growth of the Islamic banking and finance industry has speak a few current depths about Islamic commercial law, Islamic commercial context, and more broadly Islamic commercial law. Their issue must be handled in conformity with Islamic law. The buy bit Haman Ijal product is the subject of the issue risk in terms of the haram that should be removed in the space of finance. A lot of money, BBA or buy Hanam Ajal is the most really utilized Islamic house financial progress in Malaysia. Buy I'll include to a sales. Bithaman is a price and Ajal to a deferred payment. Darurah is a different principle of Islamic financial that is influentially employed in modern law. Qawaid Shara in Muamalah is not just about avoiding riba or needing the law of sale and purchase, but also about protecting religion, soul, intellect, profit, and lignal by putting the 5 perspectives of maqasid in place. Creating a product that complies with maqasid al-Sharia has become a hurt for Islamic banking now. All the law established by Islamic law serve to alert haram with each one of the fundamental reason why Allah Subhanahu wa Taala brought the Islamic law in this world. Okay, next is about medical. It's about vaccine. In science and technology, the The Al-Darurah Yuzal technique refer to items that do either profit or harm humans, whereas the word Yuzal means to be irritated. As a result, anything that causes harm in human existing must be eliminated or avoid. Regardless of the harm is communicated by individuals, the public, or technology invited by them. Practical of known as medical is one of the domains in which the concept of Al-Darurah Yuzal is applied in science and technologies. Okay, next is a riwayat from Abi Darda radhiyallahu anhu. In it, Allah has brought down the element and it occurred, and He had made occur for everything disease. So seek therapy and do not seek therapy with forbidden items. In medical matter, radiation vaccination according to Al-Darurah Yuzal norms. This method explains that in an emergency, it just justified to do something that in equal to save life. The principle of Al-Darurah Yuzal is damage something to avoid. Is the one of them. It states it if harm is effervescent, prevent steps must be made to ensure the prevent of life and healthy of individual as well as the public. Okay, the current scenario is the state of emergency in their human life, and safe are an true party unless effort to stop the COVID-19 virus from spread are adopted. When something is judged to be in state of emergency, such as vaccination, things that are forbidden under Islamic law become mandatory. Okay, the next is medical, but this time is not under vaccine, but this time is under pregnant mom. As we all know, there are 3 different ways to deliver a baby from a mom's womb. First is normal delivery, second is scissors surgery, and third is vaginal delivery. Then there scissors surgery, which is an abnormal birth that can happen via surgery and vaginal delivery. However, these abnormal births make us of access vaginal birth for focus and vacuum extension. This problem arises during the delivery of the baby. In emergency situation for pregnant women to be open their outlet when delivering treatment in the hospital from each female or male nurse and doctor. In case of the outlet, this had tend to invest women privacy right. In emergency birth control situation, women are in emergency birth control situation, women are discriminated again during childbirth when their critical moment envelop their pain and the need to ensure their children is delivered safely. As a result, women privacy is covering their outlet will be respected by doctor to facilitate the birthing process. Every Muslim in this world is required to cover their outlet because it is a Sharia requirement as well as an intention. Original, the law for the protect of human outlet during birth well eligible, requiring a woman to cover her outlet from public view. As a result, Verisa has according exposed outlet for women who give birth is allowed and permit for medical reason.
Last but not least, the application in Fiqh al-Ibadah. The use of the method of Al-Darurah Yuzal in Fiqh al-Ibadah can be seen when a person is allowed to leave a small part of the obligation to perform obligatory worship only due to the difficulty experienced. For example, when a person is ill, then he is allowed to perform prayers sitting or lying down. He can also perform tayammum instead of taking ablution for fear it will harm the injured limb. Besides that, the instruction to close prayers in congregation in mosque and surah is in accordance with the principle of not giving harm and preventing harm because it's compliant with Islamic Sharia. This is because Islam forbids the harm that is great when performing ibadah, so that the ibadah performed is harmful to self and others. Furthermore, if there is a mass gathering regardless of the purpose of worship, then it is very risk to lead to harm and destruction, while the Islamic principle is to reject harm. Although congregational prayers allow people to reap rewards and strengthen ties between congregation, but in the situation of the epidemic that has hit the woods, causing more widespread harm that is life-threatening. Thus, the postponement can push the harm better than the benefit obtained in congregational prayer. It is also comply with Sharia in the matter of taking good and rejecting harm. In conclusion, based on the method of fiqh mentioned above, this difficult also explain to us that Islam brings the concept of convenience to its ummah and give relief, not the hardship and narrowness to its ummah. Islam is a simple religion and it simplifies the thing we consider to be a burden that we consider. Harm must be eliminated, proving that Islam helps us to do a job easily. Therefore, if we delve into the Al-Quran and Sunnah, we will find that the laws of Sharia tend to ban something that can cause harm and followed by a solution that can lead to benefit. Islam is a religion that opens the space for benefits and closes the space for harm to human beings.